Hello everyone, and thanks for joining me in this Roze Ephemeris Event 2025. The event just ended 2 hours ago, so I'm recording this introduction so that I can upload it on YouTube for the people that missed out on it, on the live event. I just wanted to thank you guys so much for being part of this and letting me be a mirror for all of you guys' vision and wrapping them up together so that we can see a bigger picture of what's emerging. I truly see my soul, which is the Rose Umbra, as this bridge, to the best of my ability. I'm just listening to that inner guidance. And it was a really beautiful moment to get to share all those aspects of what has come through for me and share, the preparation for the new year, the new cycle in the solar year. So thanks for sharing this. I am available if some of you guys wanted more clarity on the astrology. Just write to me on Instagram. I'm glad to add the clarity, and if you want a longer session, I'm glad to look at your chart with you. Like, I'm a trained Vedic astrologer, so I can definitely help you go more in depth and preparing for this new year, and do tarot as well to have intuitive guidance for that. Oh, and something before I forget, as soon as I ended, I'm living now in Vancouver Island. It's raining every day for the past 2 years. And the last kind of hour of this presentation, it started to be sunny outside, which is the sun, it's the soul actually coming out. And I come in my living room, I created this little kind of setup to film to photograph my paintings because I have a show coming up. And there was this beam of light coming from the window that was actually highlighting this central place. And I mentioned in the presentation, you're going to see the Temple of Osirian, which is this temple that I had in a vision. And I learned afterwards that it was an actual place. And I had a mystical experience in a trance state, getting initiated in this temple. It's a temple of rebirth. And it inspired my whole body of work I'm working on right now. And this was lit up like vertically like this. And it represents the initial plunge from consciousness when we're connected to everything into the different levels of consciousness into this more material realm. But all the ideas of water, of being birthed through the waters, is encoded in these mysteries. And you see these deities of Hathor, and you see this figure that's kind of plunging. You might not see it from this angle, but there's these pillars and this basically the mysteries of water and the different levels of consciousness that we go through to come to this plane. So this was lit up like that, and you see, in this is a mirror, and it's reflecting. It's the only yellow light. It is the soul. It's a mirror reflecting the viewer, the soul of the viewer. So there was all these synchronicities of my soul like hinting at me after the presentation. So I thought I would just share it with you with this because it was a very meaningful moment. So before I forget, and I wanted to mention this in the presentation, but if any of you visionary creatives or have any projects, that you're working on that you think Rose Umbra could be a good collaborator with, hit me up. I know that this is a team effort to expand, so I really value these connections that we're making right now and seeing this vision expand and build off each other's vision. So don't hesitate if something comes up to just communicate it and see how we can make it happen.
So it's 10 p.m. at 10 a.m. here. Let's begin. So first of all, I want to just start by thanking you guys for joining. This has been an adventure for me as well. Creating this whole, first of all, creating Rose Umbra 3 years ago was for me a deep soul calling.
Beautiful.
I've evolved a lot since then. And this visionary rose gift that you're all part of, for me it's about a year ago through a dream. I woke up and I had a clear image that I had to create this type of offering. And so I just listened, and I had to, I'm a very passionate person. So for me, I tend to do things quickly, and I wanted them to happen quickly. So for me, it was also a lot of integration of Saturn qualities, which is long-term vision, doing things taking my time. And I'm very glad I did listen to this more Saturnian voice within me to build this very well, and have all the different aspects of this visionary art gift, which is now this presentation, and but has different aspects to it. So I'm glad I could share this with you guys, and that you guys were receptive to it.
Thank you.
Because I feel that there is a need for some sort of glue that glues us all together as visionaries. I think as visionaries, it is a very solitary thing, because you're going to see through this presentation that we do share some of the visions. There are some themes that are coming through the collective, but in the end, we are in our own self. Our own soul has its own unique flavor to that message. And so I think it's important to respect that solitary, independent vision, but also to understand that it's a global movement that we're all part of. And as these kind of sensitive beings, we are the antennas to receive these codes first and spread them out. So this for me was, a big reason why I wanted to do this event, and I wanted to do this whole gift, is to bring everyone together and also start a movement, because in the end, we all need resources and support, and sometimes it can feel very isolated. So this is a way to bring the community together, and this event to share how we are all kind of in a very weird way, like we have in this presentation, I'm going to share 5 different categories or themes that have come through this year. Like for me, well, first of all, for those who know me, my name is Alex Coma. I'm also a visionary artist. I have been making art for 10 years professionally. But this this journey is a very exciting one for me. And I think what I'm gonna start, you have a little bit about me. There's a lot about that online too, so if you have questions you can ask at the end. But you're gonna see that there is some themes that have come through this year, and that for me personally, I'm very interested in studying how these visions and downloads come to us. What is the occult science behind them? That's what I'm studying right now a lot, intensively. And I'll share a few books at the end as well that for me have guided me and have brought a lot of light to understand, because I think intuition is very important, to follow that intuition, because that's the connection to the soul. But understanding
very
is
true.
Also to integration, and integration is key. Otherwise you can't, it's kind of like the message cannot ripple out as largely as it could if you were understanding of all the layers of what you're doing. So first of all, I wanted to say the first part of this session, I want to share a bit more about let me just put the presentation on first. But I want to share, because we are meeting here. It is, let me just share first before I continue. Okay, there we go. So now for you guys, this is bigger. I hope, like you see this in more full screen. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. The time we're meeting right now, today is the 15th. Anyways.
Yes.
Some of you are the 16th already. But tomorrow I do Vedic Astrology, and I do Vedic Astrology because it's a very precise science that takes in consideration the precession of the equinoxes. So it's really like, if you are to go outside and look with a telescope at the stars, that's what the Jyotish astrologers use, is exactly what's in the sky. And so that's what I've been studying. And for me, the stars are, it's different aspects of God in a way. So if you can understand, how these planets interact with each other, all these ancient myths that give us those codes, you can understand more of the mind of God. That's why I'm so interested in it. But tomorrow is the beginning of Sagittarius. So we're just finishing Scorpio season. So I don't know if, in my entourage, like a lot of people have been going through intense transformation. There was 3 planets in Scorpio.
Very true.
A lot of intense, spontaneous transformation, depending on where your Scorpio is in your birth chart. It will transform different aspects of your life. But this is over. It was intense because Mars, the ruler of Scorpio, was in its own house. The sun was there. Mercury was there at some point. Venus was there. So there was a lot of packed energy that forces us to transform. Scorpio is also the unconscious. So all things that are lingering in the back of your mind are forced out, and for you to see them and face them. But now Sagittarius, whole new energy. And again, it's not just it's not just the sun that's going to be there. There will be 3 other planets joining a bit later this month. So that's a lot of energy. And Sagittarius is all about belief systems. It's all about, it's led by Jupiter. So it's usually a very expansive sign. It's very aligned with like New Year's resolutions as well, because it's a good time to do that when you're like focusing on how you can expand this year. So I thought I would share a little bit about Sagittarius and the fact that all of this event and everything I'm sharing is aligned with this energy as well.
Okay.
And then transition to something I found very useful. I started for the first time sharing about it last year at this time of the year, and it's how to find your personal year number. Because but yeah, so I'll do that after. But just so you know, Mars is going in Sagittarius until January 15th. So what you're going to be feeling is a lot of energy. Like, Sagittarius is a fire sign. Mars is the active force of the zodiac. So it gives you a lot of willpower to change things, to travel, but it's very philosophical sign. So it'll force you to address your belief systems. Or for some of you that already have a strong belief system, it will reinforce those. And keep in mind, this affects the whole collective. So you can see some sort of belief wars happening in the world as well, where one is so sure that they have the truth that they try to convince everyone that they have the right thing. So it's important that these ideological expressions and conversations are met with compassion, and because a lot of heated debates can arise in this time. But all in all, it's a period of acceleration and expansion it will force you to examine what you believe in. So I don't know if some of you guys, it's going to be hard to maybe interact, but some of you guys, I think the sun is going right in my camera. Yeah, so a personal year number. This is every year on the 1st of January, the clock shifts, one number. And yes, it's kind of superficial in a way because time is irrelevant, but in a subconscious way, because your beliefs shape your reality, and we live by this belief that we're aging 1 year or that we're going up a year, it does have psychological effect. So I found that it does actually work. Last year, we were in the universal year 9, which was ruled by Mars. So a lot of conflict, a lot of assertion by countries finally being like, no, that's too much, or that's not enough, and they push their boundaries for good or for ill. This year, we're on the number 1, which is in the Vedic Astrology, ruled by the sun. So it's very good for us visionaries, because the sun is the soul. So getting this information from the soul, getting this kind of confidence that comes from, there's nothing that makes you more confident than when the information you get comes from your soul, because your soul is like a sun that, that is the giver of light, that kind of nurtures this, galaxy. So the sun is all about shining. It's all about its ego as well. So again, it's important to, I'll give you a bit of details on how to access your own chart in Vedic astrology to see where it is. A well-positioned sun will have a lot of wisdom, especially if it's associated with Jupiter, which is the giver of wisdom. And sun is like the king. Jupiter is like the wise counselor of the king that gives information to the king so that he can benefit the whole of the community he rules over, instead of just asserting dominance. And that's kind of the nuance of the sun. Sometimes it can come with pride as well. So we might see this year like a lot of ego clashes between countries, between politicians, that they feel like they got a safe face and their ego is hurt, and this can create a lot of power struggles. And this can also translate in our own lives as well, if we're not careful. And when I say careful, it's just being self-aware. So observing it as it comes instead of reacting or being your personality being a reaction to whatever your environment throws at you. So this year, as a number 1 year, is like a seed year. It'll have a more of a masculine type of outward expression. And it's for us all the time to be your own self. There's nothing more important to the sun than being authentic, being
very true.
Authentic art expression, very important. And asserting your vision, but also with compassion, not being afraid to show your colors is very important. And taking time, it's a good time to launch a business, start your project, change your appearance, because the sun also gives you your radiance. And don't be afraid to lead, don't be afraid to step up your game.
Yes.
So to see, obviously, if everyone's doing that at the same time, it can create, a lot of chaos and disruption. And that's where, this is the universal year number, but then there's a personal year number. So how you calculate it, I don't know if you guys have a pen and paper. It's quite simple. You just add up your birth date without the year. So if you're born 12 of January, for example, January is 1, 12 is 1, 2, so 1 plus 2 is 3. You add 1 plus 3 is 4. So that would be like your personal year number is 4, but then you add it to the universal year 2026, which gives 1, which is the sun. So you would become a 5. So just to recap, just calculate all the numbers in your birth date, but instead of using your original birth year, use 2026, which is this new year coming up. And you'll arrive to a number. Maybe it'll be like 15. Yeah, someone said in the chat, 2026 is a 10 year. Yes, a 10 year, but there is no 10th planet, so you would reduce it to a 1. That's how it works in numerology. So you always will come to a number bigger than 9. It can be like even 34, but 3 plus 4 becomes 7. Yeah, so there is these, someone's mentioning that there is these master numbers that can be used also in Vedic astrology, the 11, 22, 33, but for the sake of this call, I want to keep it a bit more simple and a bit more essential, because then, the 11 master number becomes a 2 anyways. It just has a special vibration and a bit more. So, well, maybe I'll just mention it. If you do have a 11 before reducing it to a 2 or a 22 or a 33 this year, this means a lot of stuff is going to happen this year. Like it's a very potent, energetic number, which means a lot more challenges come your way because your soul wants to fast track your growth. So it'll give you all the obstacles for you to face and overcome, so that like in 1 year, it's like you've been living for 10 years. So yeah, so now I'll just go through the different, so whatever that number was for you, if it reduces to a 1 or 2, I'll go through all the numbers and tell you what they mean, which planet will be guiding you this year. And again, if you, I'll write in the chat for now, the website to see, and maybe you can go after, but the website to see your chart, diva.guru. Okay, look, so someone says I don't. So let's say you're born on the 5th of January, 1990. So you add 5 plus 1 plus 1, 6, 7 plus 9 plus 9. So that's 25. So that equals 25. So then you do 2 plus 5. And that equals 7. So you would be a 7, for example, if you're born that day. But because we're doing the universal, you put 2026 and then calculate that number. And that's 16 is 1 plus 6 equals, it would be a personal year number 7. Yeah, thanks for people in the chat that are helping the other people that maybe it was not very clear how I explained it. But yeah, so yeah, 22, Dominic. So yeah, you would have like just a lot of stimulations coming from your environment, challenging you to grow exponentially. So if you're a 1 this year, so that would mean like universal year 1, personal year 1. And again, the universal year never changes. Always for this 2026, it's always a 1. It's always the sun that rules it. But then you combine it with your personal year, and it gives a bit of a flavor, because you'll see that some planets clash together. You know, if your personal year is Saturn, and then the universal year is the sun and Saturn, they don't like each other. You know, Saturn is the sun. So so then you would look at the diva.guru, the website I put in the chat, to see where it is. And again, this is maybe a bit too advanced, but I'll give you a bit of information so that you can at least have an overview of it. So if you're number 1, the sun is the same as what I told you. So it's about individuality, ego, authority, beginnings. G is high and masculine, focused on the self. Time to stop following others and assert your own vision. A time to launch your business, change your appearance, and lead. And again, this affects the whole collective, but if you're it'll affect you, like, you know, this will, you know, you won't be able to avoid this. It will be for sure happening. If your personal year number is a 2,
8.
So the 2 is ruled by the moon, which is called Chandra in the Vedic system. The moon is all about emotions, relationships, intuitions, but it's also a sign that fluctuates because it goes through these cycles of these monthly cycles. It's a more feminine, receptive force as well, more magnetic. That would mean that last year you were in your sun, you know, because if you were last year would be at number 1 for you. And this year, this energy that you had last year cools down a little bit, and you become a bit more receptive and more sensitive to your environment and to other people. And things, as water flows more, so you cannot force your outcome. Like with the sun, it's more about your willpower. With the moon, it's more about however this water wants to move. You cannot assert your will as strongly. You're less in control in a way. But it's a good time for collaboration, diplomacy, networking, healing emotional wounds, artistic expression, and yeah, so a more receptive force for the number 2. And also in numerology, the 2 is often linked after the 1, which is the spark of the new idea, the new vision. The 2 is kind of bouncing it back in your environment, just like before implementing it, to see what works, what doesn't work. It's a time of, the 2 is also the opposites. So the opposites being your inner world and the outer world, and you're kind of bouncing back ideas to see if they will move forward or not. So that's why collaboration, it's a very human sign, working with other humans to understand your own vision. If you're a number 3, the sign, the planet that rules your personal year is Jupiter, Guru in the Vedic system. This is a time of expansion, wisdom, optimism, creativity. Jupiter and the Sun are very good friends. Like, they actually work very well together. The Moon and the Sun can also be good. It can make it a bit more overwhelming for you because you'll be more sensitive and there'll be a lot of assertion going on in the world. But Jupiter and Guru, usually they go hand in hand. And this is usually a lighter, luckier year. Jupiter wants you to grow, expand mentally, spiritually, even biologically. Like, it's children come from Jupiter, the multiplication. So the strategy for you guys that are in your Jupiter is to learn something complex, philosophical, travel, even teaching is Jupiterian. But the danger can be overindulgence or scattering your energy too wide. So it's important to focus on higher knowledge, not just data. I think I have for this. So this is what that's what the Vedic system looks like. That's the D1 chart, the first house. So if you go on diva.guru, you'll need this in the next part. But yeah, that's what it looks like. So that's for Jupiter. Jupiter likes wisdom, not just like Gemini is more mercurial, data, information, reading books about stuff and learning the dates by heart. Jupiter is not that. Jupiter wants the wisdom. He wants to extract, combine all knowledge together and find the truth behind it. So if you're a number 4, so in Vedic astrology, you have the north and the south node of the moon, which are called Rahu and Ketu, and they're linked with the moon. So they are like the polarities of your mind. They make you focused and kind of polarized in your life towards material ambitions when it's Rahu, and Ketu draws you back and makes you detached from the material world. If you're in personal year number 4, that means you're in your Rahu phase. So it will be a more obsessive type of energy where you'll feel this kind of, lots of desires to accomplish things. It comes with sudden changes. It also comes with illusions. Rahu is known to be the great deceiver because it makes you focus on the material world, which can be a bit sometimes superficial. But you definitely with the sun will accomplish a lot of things, especially if you learn to listen to the soul, who will be guiding you in this Rahu obsession. So Rahu is often linked with smoke and desire. It can bring in ups and downs, and you might feel restless because it's also a very Vata air sign. So like it makes you overthink things and being a bit like sometimes overwhelmed because you have so much ideas and so much wants to move. So be careful with high risk gambles this year. Don't forget, think it's a very unconventional. It rules Aquarius as well. So don't forget to think outside the box, but watch out for deception from yourself and others. It's a good year for technology and foreign connections, but mental anxiety could be high. If your personal year number is the 5, that is Buddha in Vedic astrology. The theme is communication, commerce, flexibility, balance. It's a very fast-paced energy. Again, rules the air, so it can bring a nervousness to it. And again, this is really relevant and dependent on your own personal chart. Like this is a more global energy, but how your Mercury is placed will tell you the results. So this is the year of the merchant, messenger. You'll find this year that stability is boring and your movement is essential for you. The strategy for you is to market yourself. Fix your logistics. If you're stuck in a rut, you will be forced to pivot. Keep your nervous system regulated, or you might burn out from overthinking. The next sign, the number 6, Venus. The theme of Venus, luxury, romance, pleasure, desire as well. The focus might shift for material, comfort, sensuality, aesthetics, but also like as artists, it's a good time to create and create beautiful things, balance things, have your full devotion to your practice, to your art, your spiritual practice as well. Domestic responsibilities can come more important. Romantic relationships can take the center stage as well. It's a good time to upgrade your standard of living, make your space nice, create art, focus on branding and visual appeal, but be aware of overspending on things that just look good but lack substance, because that's the desire part of Venus. It makes a lot of things attractive, but that are empty. 7, if you're in the year 7, this is the south node of the moon, which we call Ketu in Vedic astrology. So it's a very, again, detachment from the material world. It's the most spiritual sign because it's the sign of like your past life, of everything you are before birthing in this physical manifestation. So it's often linked with loss, introspection, spirituality, because Ketu is a very powerful fiery force that cuts you off from the material world for everything that you've been paying too much attention that does not serve you. So it can be a kind of intense, but in a spiritual way. So Ketu cuts the attachments to the material world. It may make you feel a bit more detached and a bit more isolated, and sometimes even misunderstood, again, depending where it's placed in your chart. And material plans can fail or feel delayed. The strategy for you guys is to not chase money or status aggressively this year, because it can flee from you, again, depending where it's placed. A good time to study the occult, to meditate, to research things very deeply, declutter your life from everything that you don't need anymore. It's really a year of cleaning house psychologically. For the number 8, we have Saturn, Shani. This is the most karmic planet with Ketu. It's all about hard work, structure, justice. It's for you guys the harvest year. So whatever you've been working on these past 7 years, in this year 8 is where you reap exactly what you have sown these previous 7 years. If you work hard, you'll get authority. If you've cut corners, you can face the consequences. It's a time that might feel slow because Saturn values discipline and long-term commitment. So the strategy for you guys, grind. There's no shortcuts this year. Accept responsibility for everything that happens to you. This is the Saturnian quality. It wants to work with you, but to work with you, you have to take responsibility for what's happening. Organize your finances, build structures, and endurance is your biggest asset this year. Then for those with a number 9, end of cycle, it's a Mars year. So this year, actually, we're still in Mars for 2 more weeks. We're still in this universal year 9 now. And it's a completion year. So what we've experienced this year is a lot of endings. That's why it's ruled by Mars. Mars gives you the energy, at the finish line to give that last sprint, finish the projects that were undone, cut the ties that no longer serve you. So then in 2026, we can start fresh. So for you guys that are starting this new year with Mars, you're gonna have a lot of energy because Sun plus Mars is a lot of fire. The themes are completion, aggression, energy, culmination. You're finishing a cycle, and Mars will provide the energy to cut the cords and destroy whatever is no longer working for you, to be clean for your own personal year one next year. So the strategy: finish unfinished business, declutter, be careful of accidents and conflict. Your temper might be shorter because of all this fire. It's not a time to start a new long-term venture, but more to finish things. So did everyone get to go on Deva.guru, find their, their chart, as in I'm pointing at? Like the next part, it'll be like 5 minutes long, but it's important to have this, otherwise it won't make much sense. You're gonna see like when you write your information on Deva.guru, your birth date, birth time, birth location. Again, beware, because birth time in Vedic astrology changes everything. You'll see if you put like 10 a.m. versus 10 p.m., your whole chart flips upside down. So this information I'm gonna give you next is only relevant if you have the exact time of your birth. So you might wanna, if you don't find it, and you can review, I'm gonna be posting this recap on YouTube, so you can review it and go find it later. So these are the houses. So we're going to look at the sun, because the sun is a universal year, but you can also use your personal year to see what I'm going to tell you. So because the sun is the most important planet this year, so if it's your sun is in the, I'm going to start with the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th house. If you're in this house here, so if you're in the 1st house, the energy of the sun is doubled. Your physical appearance will change this year. Your brand, your personality will undergo a massive overhaul. You might become intolerant because the sun gives you a big assertion quality. So it makes you want to shine as well. So it can be a good place for identity. You'll feel a strong sense of self, but beware of ego, because the sun energy is doubled for you guys that have the sun in the 1st house. If it's in the 10th house, this is the most powerful place for the sun, because this is the time of the day around noon when the sun is at the highest point in the sky. So it gets directional strength there. This is the position of the CEO. In the year one, it triggers a massive career spike and change of status. It's a time to lead for you guys in your career. If you're playing small, it's like this year you're insulting your destiny. 10th house is, it's the outer world, it's your dharma, it's your life purpose in action. So if your sun is activated this year and it's here in your natal chart, you're gonna have lots of opportunities come your way. If it's in your 7th house, this is new beginnings manifest through a partner or public contract. So the sun can sometimes bring either ego clashes with your partner from your part or from the part of the partner. So it means that you might be asserting your independence within the relationship, which can cause sometimes some friction. If it's in the 4th house, new beginning is going to be internal for you. Domestic or related to property or even to the mother. You might buy a home or brutally severe emotional cords with the past to build a new emotional foundation. So this is the Kendra houses. It's the 4 pillars of life, the most important houses in the zodiac, because they are the most important pillars in our lives. Now the Trikona house are the 5th and the 9th house. So these are the most positive, houses in the zodiac. So this is about legacy, creativity, divine alignment, and the sun really loves those houses. So that's going to be very good. If your sun is in the 5th house, this is a house of creative intelligence and project. You'll see probably a lot of you guys have the sun probably there or in the 10th house, because it's the house of creativity as well. So for artists that have this placement, it's very good for, expanding your creative network and even speculative business. And it's a year to start your passion project. If it's in the 9th house, opposite here, this is the house of the father, the guru, or higher knowledge, and it's connected with Sagittarius as well, which is what we're entering tomorrow. So here it can trigger, being a mentor for other people, or, finding a mentor that can teach you the higher knowledge, the higher wisdom. Even pilgrimages would be seen in this house with the sun there, because you are kind of acting and finding resources to refine your belief systems. So in this position, you are not just starting something new, but also establishing yourself as an authority based on truth. Now, the Dustana houses are the 2, 8, and 12 house. If your sun is in the 8th house, it illuminates the house of death, rebirth, and other people's money. Year 1 here isn't a launch, it's a resurrection. You may have this to destroy part of your identity or deal with an inheritance tax before you can move forward. So it's a very intense and psychological transformation. In the 12th house, it's the house of loss and isolation. It can trigger desires to move abroad or even retreat, or behind the scenes. Your ego will feel dissolved. So if you're trying to be a public star with this placement, you might feel drained. It's going to be more of a behind the scenes spiritual time for you to connect with your soul. If it's in the 2nd house, it can be linked with family, accumulated wealth. It's time to take charge of your finance. You might separate from family values to establish your own. The focus is on resources required for the new life. And then finally, the 3rd, 6th, and 11th house, they're called the Upachaya houses. So the 3rd house is a house of self-effort and courage. The sun is also good here because it gives you lots of energy to achieve things, but beware that all of what will come your way, you will have to come from your own efforts. Like, it's not someone else going to open the door for you. You're going to have to put the work in and make those doors appear in front of you so you can open them. So write the book, start the podcast, sign the contracts. Your willpower is your best asset this year. If it's in the house 6, this is the house of enemies and debts. The year 1 will give you power to crush your competition, pay off your debt, fix even your health issues, give you back your vitality. It's a year of problem solving. You will definitely be busy, but you will also be effective. And finally, in the 11th house, this is a good place as well. This gives you opportunities to have lots of gains and to open up your international networks. It's the most lucrative placement for the year 1, your new beginning. It comes through powerful networks and wealthy friends, massive payouts for all of your past work. So this completes this segment. Again, why I'm mentioning all of this, because I think astrology is kind of underused, is an underused resource that offers so much guidance. Like, nothing's going to change. Well, nothing's going to change in your life if you don't pay attention to your astrology, but you can alchemize your results or diminish the negative parts that you don't want if you pay attention to it. So you just become a more self-aware and conscious being by paying attention to astrology. So if you're already enlightened, it won't change anything, obviously. But for us as parents, it can be a very beautiful tool to navigate this new year 1. So now let's move on to the segment about visionary art. So I prepared a little, presentation on visionary art throughout time, but as I was doing the presentation, I realized, I'm not very much interested personally in giving you timelines and dates and facts. For me, I'm more interested in understanding what is a vision, how do visions come to you, why they are important in the bigger picture of this time we're collectively experiencing together. So I have a few slides, but I'm not a historian, and it's not about giving you facts about history. It's more about inspiring you, helping you understand why what you're doing is so important, basically. So what is visionary art? What is a vision? For me, like, I want to share that the visionary faculties has always been a tool that is integrated in our DNA. It's the light that is accessible to you when you unite with your unconscious, basically. And then the Kundalini energy can have the chance to rise, to activate your visionary third eye. And that's the essence of it. And then how you do that is like personal to everyone, to your soul. But this has always been the way the ascended masters or whatever, like your own higher genius can communicate to you in an authentic way. Again, it's linked with the soul, the sun, because if you go about your personality every day, you associate with your personality, you will only see everything in these polar opposites. Everything is going to be a contrast of something else. You never can come to truth. And when you connect with this visionary quality, it means you're just connecting to something that comes from a higher source. And the higher source usually is the source, is the cause of all effects on Earth. Therefore, it's a more objective, but also a more something that's more true for the collective, not just for you, for your own personality. And that's where visionary art becomes interesting for me. It's when whatever you're channeling becomes relevant to humanity, not just for your own development, but for the development of all your peers. Because in a sense, you know, we are all made of the same thing. We are just one big soul that have our individualities. So whatever is good for you, if it's truthful, will be good for others. If it comes from this place of truth. So visionary art for me has been guiding humanity for aeons. You know, it's once you come in this material world of illusions, I see this lower realm as more like a kind of we're like underwater. You know, we're not. If you identify as your personality, it's like you're underwater, and then everything, the light, you know, refracts and moves, and you cannot see like clearly. It's a very emotional plane because it's very connected to the astral plane. Therefore, truth can be, you know, distinguished, but it's very difficult to see it clearly. And then when you connect with your inner world and you go see what's in the dry place of the causal sphere, of the mental plane, then you can have like a radar that guides you in this kind of place we're in. And that's what humans have been doing for aeons. And that's why, so I have this slide. This first slide for me is very important because it's my first personal reference to a time where Earth was used as a kind of a portal. Literally, like this is a temple of Osirian in Egypt. The reason I'm so fascinated with this temple is because I've seen it in a vision and have done a render of my vision, posted it online, and someone has told me, hey, this looks very strangely like this temple. And then I started researching it and I realized that was the temple in my vision. So I have a very deep connection with this temple, so that's why I know a lot about it. But this was a temple built over an aquifer in Egypt. And there's so much mystery about this temple because there's a temple of Seti right beside it. And so people have been dating this temple to the year of Seti. But a lot of historians are saying that's not accurate. This temple was built beside this temple because it was there. And this was underground. So there was a roof and there was a mound of earth on top with and they had a big tunnel to go there and do initiations. And now I know personally why they use this because I've had a personal experience with this temple, but it's built over an aquifer. So there's a natural spring of water that's heated, that comes from the soil, that rises up. And so here you might not see, but this would have been like all around here. Oh, we see it a little bit here, and but it's surrounded by water. It's an underground temple that's an island. That's, I think it was like 30 meters deep. and they would perform ritual of rebirth there. They would use the earth and the currents of the ley lines, because the ley lines is kind of this electromagnetic grid on earth, and that follows the underground streams of water. So you can see where they cross is usually like where they build the temples. They would use the magnetic field of the earth, the electromagnetic field, to have these powerful centers that they would use with combine with sacred geometry, understanding of how the universe is constructed, and rebuild those temples. So for me, this is kind of my first encounter with visionary creators, you know, that if it is really in the age of, that's like 4,000 years ago, and probably even more ancient, some people would argue. But the earth was known, like it was a more feminine time. And so the earth was venerated, women were venerated. This was in the back here, there's a big, how do you call it? Anyways, a enclosed space in the dark. And when they opened it up, they found this big painting of the goddess Nut, which is a feminine deity of the cosmic mother. So it was really connected with Hathor, with these feminine deities that are more connected with earth, with the body. And this predates this kind of age that we're finishing now, the age of Pisces, which is a more masculine solar year, or not year, but big year. So visionary art has always been, for me, this is art. And then later, a lot later, like, I mean, these secrets that they were transmitting, you know, got passed on to secret societies. The Templars were one of those secret societies that lasted through time, that would still use this same grid, energetic grid, to build these, you know, cathedrals that were also based off the proportions of the human body. Again, using the body as a reference for, like, you know, building the altar exactly at the right place where the body would represent the third eye, and having all these mysteries encoded, and filtering the light through these glass stained windows, so that when you enter these cathedrals, you're entering an electromagnetic field that is very different from when you're outside of it. It's like condensing energy in a specific manner, so that if you perform a specific rite, which is a sort of ritual in there, you will have a specific effect that can help you transcend and have more visions. So this, you know, very, and then if we go like a lot further, and I'm skipping a lot of it just because I don't want to talk about something I'm not familiar with. And for me, it's just giving you a few reference points throughout time. And this one I'm also very familiar with, because the person I study the most is Alice Bailey, and she comes from this Theosophical Society that was founded there, which started with Hilma of Klint, and they were like little seance. They would do seance sessions to invite the channels, open the channels. But the big difference is, like, before was more of an organized group that would have a more, I guess, universal agenda, like recreating this energetic grid so that the whole collective can experience this. While since this date, it feels like it's a more connected with the self. It's more you become the antenna. And for me, this marks the beginning of the age of Aquarius around this time. And this is very debatable, the time, but it's a time where the body itself starts to become the vehicle for the channels, without the need for, you know, those temples for the. So it's a more centered about the technology inside the body that's already there. So a lot of artists in those times started to channel light and, you know, put it into paintings and different art forms. And then more recently, that's a big checkpoint. I mean, it's a very obvious one, Alex Gray, but he's just a big reference in our day and age for, like, psychedelic art, but also mapping out the energetics, you know, and blending it with science as well. So there's the integration of science and the self and the energy body, so that we can understand the science of spirituality in a more precise way. It's not just abstract myth and legends. It becomes like a you can see how the technology works. And this, I have a book also I want to refer to you guys at the end that shares about this very well. And this brings us to you guys. So like, I think right now we are in this, again, Aquarian phase, this big shift. I mean, it's been going on for 200 years, but or more. But I really feel that we are in it. Like, part of our mission is linked to this transition. And that's why I will be telling you guys about the 5 big categories that I can see in your guys' applications, and you're going to see how it relates to this transition. You know, if we were 1,000 years later, probably like the visions will be directly linked to Aquarius. But now the vision seems to be linked for humanity between the transition point of those eras, and not just, you know, not just Aquarian, not just Piscean, but really about this transition. So it's very linked with the digital ether. That's how I called it. It's a time where technology and old, you know, religious values, they kind of like are connecting together, and we're having to kind of decipher and distill them and see what's underneath. So let's start with this is the what I call this presentation, the Census of Consensus. So you guys were 135 artists to present, to offer your applications, over 40 mediums, 39 countries, and these are the 5 signals we're going to see today, which is kind of wild. That, you know, I was very amazed to see like these statistics, like how many mediums and how many countries have applied. This just goes to show that because I've agglomerated these ideas together, that it's not just a, you know, USA or Canada or Europe. It's a bigger movement that's not, how can I say? It's not localized. It's not dependent on a space, a specific space. So let me just go see my notes, because I skipped a lot of my notes. So just to give you an idea of all the different mediums, I thought that was fascinating how many mediums you guys are using. It's pretty wild, and in itself, I think it talks about the qualities of visionary art. So I've put them in categories. The first one is the alchemical and organic. So some of you guys use mycelium, kombucha membranes, wild clay, herbal hydrosols, plant pigments, kilns, hand-built kilns, crushed glass, bronze casting, copper, hand-cast paper pulp, and so much more natural elements. So that's the first category. We have some of you guys using somatic and performative mediums. So we have dance, including ballet and buto and contact improvisation. We have ritual theater that includes puppetry, clowning, devised performance. We have somatic practices like breathwork, facial release, shaking medicine. And we have voice, which includes polyphonic singing, vocal looping, spoken word, even endurance art, suspension and long duration stillness. Some of you guys even use tattooing as a medium, ritual ink, hand-poked markings. So a lot of somatic performance this year. Then some of you guys use technology and digital mediums. So there was, of course, artificial intelligence, machine learning, AI-generated imagery. Some of you guys use code, creative coding app development. There was film, narrative cinema, experimental video art, documentary. There was photography, from digital to 35 millimeter analog to large format. There was sound design. Some people did binaural beats, synthesis, field recordings. There was digital fabrications like 3D printing and CNC machining. And then the next, we had the ancestral and esoteric, the spiritual medium, the technologies of consciousness, we can say. So some of you guys did tarot decks, like divination, oracle readings, astrology. Some of you did oral history using interviews and archives, genealogy, or writing from poetry, graphic novels to speculative fiction. Some of you used textiles like weaving, embroidery, quilting, knitting, crochet, printmaking, like Japanese woodblock, edging, cyanotype, chemigrams, installation art, like immersive altars and site-specific land art. And then finally, the last one, we got the unconventional trash and treasure. So some of you guys use waste, which includes recycled plastic, found objects, industrial debris. Some even use meteorites to make sculpture and jewelry. And food, fermentation, communal cooking, and even scent, olfactory art, and essential oils. So I just found it, I thought it was worth mentioning because I think it's fascinating how much mediums were covered by 135 dossiers. So yeah, so next I want to share with you guys the applications directly. So the first category that I could say you guys like were describing is the Great Descent. That's a big theme. We are not ascending, we are rooting. So this was the most dominant signal in all of your applications. And it's linked with the era of transcendence, that the era of transcendence is dead. We are not trying to escape the body, but go through it. God is not just the transcendental, but it's also the soil and the blood and the flesh. So the body is no longer a vessel to be transcended. It is the site of the miracle. The higher dimensions are demanding to be felt somatically. And the proof of that, you have artists like Hamza Faye using the third gender body as a site for ancestral technology. We had Nicolas Belfleur, who treats performance as a practice of alignment where the body becomes a prayer. We have Lucas Lopez Pereiras, who is researching the intense body and how to breathe inside risk. And we have Maz Alice, who explicitly rejects the ascension narrative in favor of going down and in. This life has shown me the fallacy of the ascension narrative. Awakening does not happen exclusively from going up and out of the body. No, it mostly happens from going down and in the body. So the message of this is to stop looking up. The sacred is in the fascia, in the gut, and in the mud. The next signal is the collapse of linear time, ancestral futurism. There was a massive rejection of the modern idea of progress. Instead, you guys are folding time, reaching back in the deep past to build the future. The higher dimension trying to come through is actually deep time. Trauma is not personal, it's ancestral. Healing is not individual, it is retrospective. We are healing the timeline backwards. So here we have Sarah Alora Roop, who is using oral history to heal state violence in Chile, literally rewriting the energetic record of the nation. We have Leah Victoria, who is training as an Uwishin to channel Shuar lineages through graphic novels. And again, like if you look at the places where they come from and where they work, it's from all over. Like you guys have applied from really literally all over the world. So, which is why some of you guys are watching this in its middle of the night. In other words, it's the morning. So the message is you are not an individual. You are the current tip of a spear that is thousands of years long. Heal the root and the future changes. Oh, and I forgot to mention Kiera Gina as well, who is merging Afrofuturism with ancestral memory. Each performance becomes a ceremony of becoming, a moment where art transcends entertainment to touch the spiritual, ecological, communal dimensions of life. Next category that I found, for me, it's the one I relate to the most as an artist, because that's what I do as well. Functional magic. So art returning to technology, the end of decoration. I thought that was funny. They're just decorative art. The aesthetic era is over. You guys are not trying to make pretty things for galleries, but are making machines, tools, and altars, treating art as a functional technology to alter reality. Art is being reclaimed as a utility for consciousness modification. It is engineering for the soul. The proof, we have Jason McDonald that isn't just painting, he is using brainwave monitoring to prove his art creates theta states. He calls it sacred technology. We have V2 Art Studio, who creates functional talismans and navigational tools for the psyche. We have Giek Reality Cult, who uses AI and astrology to scientifically investigate reincarnation. We are more than one life, more than one story, but by remembering ourselves across time, we can transform shadow into light, reclaim our sovereignty, and contribute to the co-creation of a new world. From Netherlands. The next signal that I noticed. Oh yeah, and the message from the last one was stop decorating the cage, but start building keys. And art is the mechanism by which you reprogram the simulation. I thought that was pretty cool, like way of saying it, because that's really what I see we are all collectively doing when you see the bigger picture. We are like healing the past so we can move to the present and reprogram the future, which is this age of Aquarius, the technological age, but using our own mental technology to do that. So radical animism, the earth is speaking back. The human-centric worldview is being aggressively dismantled. The higher dimensions are pushing a frequency of interspecies communication. So the signal is about that the earth is not a backdrop, it's a co-author. The fungi, the wind, the mycelium are dictating the earth and the art. The proof, we have Madzia Zaliwa, who is building a burial mound for herself using kombucha and mycelium to practice multi-species ethnography. We have Phoebe Faye, who calls her work animist arts and acts as a hollow bone for the more than human. And we have Annie Graham, who received a vision from the wind itself and is creating flags to let the wind sing. I thought that was a beautiful metaphor as well. So the message is you are not a protagonist. You are a collaborator in a bio-spiritual web. It's time to shut up and listen to the soil. And the last one, which is also one I relate to a lot, the shadow integration, healing the dark to find the power, the shadow integration, and the rise of the dark feminine. So there is a distant lack in this and all of your applications of the love and light bypassing. The energy coming through is fierce, dark, and alchemical, is the energy of Kali, Lilith, and the Black Sun, which I also relate to a lot. The signal is we are done with polite spirituality. The collective shadow must be eaten, digested, and transmuted. And the proof of this, we have Tamara Safarova from Ukraine. She's channeling Lilith in the garden to reclaim the untamed inner strength. We have Kara Williams, who is explicitly channeling the darkness of the divine feminine. The body as a sacred site, the sex worker as healer and outsider. My project is channeling the dark feminine in her various forms through the lens of a female spiritual practitioner. And we have Claudia Linaut, who began her work after encountering the alchemical Black Sun in meditation. Growth happens in the dark. So the message with this signal is that growth does not happen in the light, it happens in the dark. Embrace the rot, the grief, and the void. This is where the power is. So all this, goes to show that there are some major trends, and again, links to like healing the past, bringing us to the present moment so that we can actively channel the future, but in a enlightened way without carrying the burdens of this kind of ancestral trauma. First, we have to look back, and that's again repositions us in between those ages. And for me, like this last eclipse was in Aquarius, and in astrology, you see the Rahu Ketu nodes, they are the eclipses, and for me in my chart, they are very important in my destiny. So when every eclipse, I do a deep meditation, a big ceremony, and things come through. And the last one was in Aquarius, and I had a lot of messages specifically about this age of Aquarius, but also about the role of Roze Umbra in this shift, which also informs what I'm telling you guys today, what I'm doing with Roze Umbra. And a big part of it is linked with the rose. The rose is the heart chakra. It's the portal in between the past and the future. It's the present. And therefore, it is part of the mission of Roze Umbra to encourage, or not even encourage, to like inspire you guys, people that are also called to use their visions to create the future, to be mindful and compassionate towards, not if you're like someone that's very futuristic and already have healed the trauma, to not just be like looking in the future, but also to have an awareness of the past and help the people and these old generational wounds, like empower those people, give them the resources, accompany them, so that they can become like a collaborative effort. And it's not just like half of the visionaries are working on the future and half are working, but that there is this exchange. The people that feel more safe in their body can help the people that need support, and vice versa. Yeah. Sorry, it's making me a little bit emotional. That's when I know that there is like, it's very true, because yeah, it gives me a lot of so let's continue. So you guys have all applied. I think you get what I'm saying, and it was very important, obviously, if it brings all those emotions to me, to share this. And yeah, I think this is the beginning of something. I think Roze Umbra has been like an evolving, like the soul is not static, it's always evolving, and it's giving new information every day, every month, every year. And this presentation for me seems like it's the pinnacle of of everything I've been building, is kind of being shared with you guys now as like being a pivotal time. And yeah, giving you the resources of, I see this as a collaborative effort. So like, yes, I receive all this data from you guys, all of this beautiful application, all of your visions, the time you put in those applications. But for me, it's about giving back to you guys this information, because it, as much as it's useful for me in my own art practice to reinforce the strength of what I do, the inner dialogue I have about my work, about these visions, I think it's very valuable for you guys to understand and see this as well. So that's why I did this presentation, so that it becomes a, it's not me again, there's no hierarchy. It's like, it is a collaborative effort. I'm just a mirror for everything you guys have been putting forward. So I'll put in the chat, because I'm also on Instagram Live, and a lot of those promo codes and stuff are very, they're just for you guys that are on Google Meet. So I'm gonna put them in the chat. Feel free to copy paste all of those, so that when the recording is over, you still have them saved. So I want to give you guys like 40% off the 90-minute Astro Tarot sessions, where we go through your astrology, do tarot, but it's also discussion. So it's not just that, it's using those tools to go more in depth into your soul's purpose and your art's purpose, because your art is your anima, it's your soul communicating through you. So how can we learn about what it wants to express in a more concise and precise way? that's part of why I'm doing those sessions. It's 40% off, but like anyone that needs a session and that doesn't have the resources at the moment, just email me. We'll figure something out. If some of you guys have extra and want to support, then we have the merch online. You have 25% off. That's really if you feel like supporting and you want a comfortable sweater. Nica has been very generous. The top 3 winners have, of course, the residency in Spain. She also offers to you guys 25% off 2 weeks or more residencies at the urgent centers in Spain. And the reason me and Nica are very close, because this project that she does is one that I sold it. It's the beginning of my journey of my soul, basically. I sold everything I owned to move to Spain to help her on that project. And that was like, because of the visa and different things, it didn't work out for me. But this project, I'm still supporting as much as I can, because it's a very beautiful project and the location is just amazing. Like, really, like, you can't ask for a better, more, it's in the national park and you're kind of retreat there. You have internet through satellite, but that's about it. And I really love this place. So you get 25% off. And I put the link to the Roze Sanctuary and Gardens. Small word on that, like, for me, this is a vision as well, the Roze Sanctuary and Gardens. For now, it's a Facebook group. I thought that might be the most accessible for all of us, but eventually I want this to become, in the next few years, an actual place that we can gather, as the philosophers did a long time ago. And then it's just a place we stay together for a little bit and we discuss ideas, visions. We present some of the work we do in the gardens. The gardens is basically, for me, a way of saying like an outdoor place where we have easels and we present our show, or we do performance, and other people can add to the vision, constructive criticism. But for now, it's online. It's on Facebook group. So you're all invited to follow this link and join. And a place to share your new work, ask questions about a dream you had that was so specific and you need insight, clarity, a vision, just a way to support each other as a community, a safe place for visionary artists. Like, it's a private group, so only people that are invited can join. So it makes for a safe space where you're not because you're putting yourself in a vulnerable place, sharing something very personal. It'll be received by someone that probably had a similar vision. And finally, the link to the podcast. This whole recording will be posted on the YouTube channel, which is a big part of Rose Umbra, is the podcast. So the podcast called the Blue Hour Podcast, which is for me highlighting the best visionary artists on earth and giving them a platform to share their visions. And there's 2 parts to the podcast, the solar part and the lunar part, really balancing the unconscious and the conscious parts of the artist and the visionary. So the second part is more like subjective, but it's also a part where the visionary has to share something practical with the audience, something that is useful and that they can put in practice. And my objective is to have 500 followers by the new year. So if you guys want to support, just go subscribe. Takes a few seconds. And that really helps us reach a lot more people, because it's exponential. Every video, a lot more people see it. So the vision just grows exponentially through this YouTube platform. So if you want to support, and if you want to have the recording also, you can go through this link. So I want to just invite Nica on. Nica, I'll just stop sharing for a little bit. So Nica, if you're on the Instagram live, you can also. So you're unmuted. So Nica, I wanted to invite Nica. She was one of the jury members, as you might know, and we've been working together for a long time now. So she is a contemporary artist. So she's in the professional galleries around the world. She has a lot of background in visionary arts, and now she's dedicated part of her life to creating art and to help others through this residency. So maybe Nica, if you want to introduce yourself shortly and maybe talk about the retreat that 3 people will win and that is accessible to all of you guys.
Yes. So hello everyone. Thank you, Alex, again.
thank you so much for all
Hello,
your
hello.
I'm not hearing Nica. Are you guys hearing her?
Yes.
Hello, hello. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, so maybe it's just my sound that's off. Just give me a second.
Hello, hello. Test, test, test.
Okay, try again.
Hello.
Okay,
Hello.
it worked.
All right. Well, I just first wanted to say thank you and congratulations to Alex, because he's been working tremendously to make this thing happen. And I remember, I think it was in January, when he called me and he had that dream, and he asked me, shared this idea with me, and say, what do you think if I would create an art prize, and would you want to be part of it? And since then he's been pushing that project with all his passion and knowledge, and it's really admirable, because I know he's doing it for all of us. It's truly a dedication to creating a family, creating a movement. And like Alex said, Roze Umbra birthed in the Origin Center. Alex came over when it was very much the beginning, and came to help me build the place, built a beautiful ritual meditation platform in the forest, built a shelf, painted the walls. So really much the groundwork. And this place for me has been a long-term project. So to make a segue into astrology, since we started with that, my sun sign is Capricorn, and I think this project has been the most Capricornian endeavor I've ever did, on multiple levels, because it's been a very long process. The idea came in 2017, and I've been working alone in my studio for all those years before. I studied art in Montreal in Concordia University, and then after in Berlin for 5 years at the Kunsthochschule Residency, and I've been working as professional artist since. And one of the motivation was that as I increasingly had shows in galleries, as much as I had more reach and visibility, there was a piece for me that was missing, and it was the direct impact, because I felt that there was unfortunately a lot of people that don't trust themselves to enter a commercial art gallery. They might enter a museum, but even a lot of people have the idea that in order to enter a gallery, you need to know about art, and for me that was a big missing component of why I wanted to make art. So it was not only to reach the art elite, or I don't know if you want to call it that way, but it was really to have a more global impact, as well as in 2017 was not like nowadays, but I felt that spiritual art was quite taboo whenever I was applying for grants, for exhibitions, and I felt it was still a little bit of the tacky subject to use, and it really switched quite rapidly with the Hilma Klint show in New York. That was really a pivotal point when suddenly you started to see a lot of visionary painters in the commercial platform, and featured in biennials and curated shows. So it's been wonderful to see how it evolved, but it still sometimes has a little it's a little late in the race in a way, and although it's been there forever. I have my theories on that. I think it's the academization of art through modernism and postmodernism, and this idea of wanting to separate from the sacred art which was associated with church, and so trying to putting everything together. And I think what I've seen and as a jury member is such a beautiful testimony of how spirituality is so alive, and alive in all of you, and alive in the creativity. And going back to Origin Center, for me, that was a way to create a vessel a vessel for creators to connect back with themselves from within, through the contact of nature and silence, and as well creating a network that would solidify a global position. My background in my family, one of my great uncle was one of the first geometric painter of Canada, and he founded the movement with 4 friends, and it was at the time in the 50s, one of the last movements where people would come together and have a manifesto and really work together to push an idea. And I think shortly after that, it became very individualistic. And I think what Alex and I are trying to do is to go back to that idea of community, to push an idea movement while celebrating our individualities. And as Alex mentioned it, and as we see people from all around the world, from many mediums, and I think we share a very beautiful mission. And obviously, we each have our things that are more interesting for us, and which is what makes it beautiful. And for me, a visionary artist, there's manyfold. It's one of the things that for me makes it very special is being of service. So it's channeling, being receiving information, and then how to use that information to benefit the world. And therefore, Roze Umbra, I think it's like a perfect example of that manifestation. And hopefully, with Origin, the idea is to have this. Well, it's already here. It's not finished yet. I mean, it's been a really long run of renovation. The house was a ruin, and that's why the Capricornian journey, because it's been a lot of hard work and labor to just build it up, and as well as being surrounded by mountains and by Capricorns. There's a lot of mountain goats all around. The choice of the region was for me, the climate in Spain, close to the coast. For me, it was really important to be next to water. So there's a river just in front of the house that is flowing all year long with waterfalls. And the mountain, if you look at Villalonga on Google Map, you will see some kind of crater that looks almost perfectly circular. And the first time I saw that on Google Map, it really caught my eye and pinpoint this village as the location to make it. And when you come into that valley, you enter in the crater, and there's a very special energy here. From multiple guests, it's been called a pressure cooker, which can be challenging. People come here after 2 weeks. Often I've seen people breaking down, having some kind of, just being confronted with themselves, because there's no signal, as Alex said, except our satellite internet. But if we shut it out, we don't have any phone signal. You're fully connected with nature and with yourself. And then and being between the mountain and also driving through the mountain to come here, you're it's a deeply grounding experience, and the inner voice becomes louder. Which is fantastic for us when we're trying to connect with ourselves, with spirit, and with the spirit of the land. I think it's a very potent place, especially the more people will come, the more people will imbue the place as well with this frequency and that energy. So I'm really looking forward to host some of you, and I think, is that enough, Alex? Should I say more?
And then I think that's beautiful, and thanks for sharing that. And I
Słucham, co oni tam
can confirm that this place is exactly what you said, because that's what my experience was. I think maybe if you have any comments before we do the kind of countdown of like the runner-ups and the winner, did you have any review or advice of this year's evaluation process? What you saw, because I agglomerated in 4 categories, but from your experience, is there something that stood out that you would want to share, or?
Well, there was plenty of very, very inspiring applications, and it was not an easy process to come with the selection. This I must say. I mean, and even the selection are well deserved. Still, there's so much more that also were as deserving. And we had a long jury debate, and the top of the selection was it was very, very hard to decide. One of the key things that stood out for me as a jury is that it made me realize the one's application that for me were standing out the most was often when I saw or I felt that the artist was going beyond the personal experience of transcendence and into channeling that energy into with the help of an exterior tool or with an ancestral or new knowledge, or to in service to a movement, to a cause. So when there was that link with the transcendence of the self, for me that really stood out. Because what I saw with everyone, I think everyone had a very beautiful channeling experience and very unique. There was not 2 applications that were the same. Yes, there was movements like Alex described, but it was all very unique, and that was very beautiful to see. Maybe some tips for applications. Definitely when I could hear the personal voice of the person writing to me, speaking to me, that was definitely very more engaging. It stood out whenever it was, obviously in the work presentation, but also in the text, when I could feel that, when I could really feel the voice behind. Doesn't mean the academical way of writing for art, that was not the criteria, but it was more about feeling the authenticity through the voice and through the story, as well as because of the nature of this prize. There was also, we had as a jury different criteria to judge each applications, and some of the criteria were also the integration of the spiritual practice translated in the art, for instance. So was I able to really see the link between the personal practice and the result, or how was it translating through the medium? That was definitely something that sometimes brought to similar application in terms of level. Maybe that might have been the decisive factor in some applications, which is very unique to that prize. But I think these are some of the.
And I just want to add, like, that was for me the most important thing. Like, most of the applications, you're never judged on your inner life, right? And even like saying that, it feels like it's hard to judge because it's so subjective. But even just having a question on the application process to understand what the person's intentions are, without it being like very academic and kind of censored, that was very important for me. And so definitely, like, in the way I asked the questions for the grant, next year, I will even refine it even more with, how you guys responded to the questions. It'll give me a better idea on how to formulate them. Of course, this was the first time, but it's so important for me to, because I can't meet one-on-one. Like, imagine, like, the best would be you guys apply to me directly in an interview. Imagine, so then I can feel the authenticity, I can feel, but how do you translate that into an application process that is, sustainable? Well, that's what I'm trying to do, so that I can feel your soul through the application, what it wants to communicate to the world. So, like, how do I do that is what I'm attempting, and it's a very complex thing, but that was the first edition, and I think, like Nica said, we had a long process of finding who won. It was very difficult, and I want to mention that the reason I'm doing this length of a presentation, reviewing, all of the applications together, giving you different tools, is because I value the time you put into it. And so much times, you apply to an art grant and it's someone behind a screen, or like they're in their little meeting room. It's a very cold process. It's a very mechanical process, and you never get feedback. It's kind of just you just feel like incompetent. Oh, I didn't get in. They don't give me any information why. I feel like it's lacking a bit of the heart aspect of it, and because I'm asking you questions about your visions and something very deep within yourself, I think it's very important for me to bounce back this energy at you guys for taking the time to do that, which is why I'm giving you also the resources and all those things, and I'm taking time to do this presentation and offer you a wrap-up of it so you can use it in your own future applications, and you can use it for your own understanding of your vision. It's important for me that there is this exchange, and it's not just like, you guys apply behind a screen, I receive it, give an answer to the winners, and that's it. I want to build something that's more of an ecosystem. So I hope that, you get a feel of that, and it's going to get kind of improved with you guys' feedback maybe after this event, and, to make it every year better and better, and so that it ripples out to a bigger and bigger, it's a movement. Like, it's really a movement in consciousness. And so, yeah, Nica, did you have any last thing? And we will come back, me and Nica, at the end to answer questions. I want to hear you guys. If you have questions, comments, I want to hear that. So Nica will be invited to come back to help me answer also if needed.
Maybe another note, which was not the criteria for the selection, I must point out, but because all of you also described projects, and I was very touched to see how many of you also created projects for the space here, and or how to incorporate your practice with the Origin Center, as well as the environment of Spain or the nature surrounding it. And that was really beautiful to see. That was not a decisive factor, though. So I just, to those who didn't do that, don't worry. That was not something that influenced negatively your application, but it was really beautiful to see, and I'm really very touched and grateful for that as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's a good point. So let's go to the moment you've all been waiting for. I'll share my screen for the last part of the presentation. There we go. So the 5 runner-up honorable mentions. So there is 5. We just took some of the runner-ups. A lot of you guys also were even in some of those runner-ups. I will be, from a personal level, not juried or anything, but I will be taking some of your applications that for me stood out personally, posting them on the Roze Umbra page in the next few months until the next edition. I want to showcase some of your work. So even though you're not mentioned in this PowerPoint and these slides, or you didn't win, I will be sharing more of you guys' work and highlighting them on the Instagram page. So I want to honor all you guys for applying in this way. You're not all going to be there because there is a lot of applications, but I will do my possible to share your light with others as well. So let's start with the countdown. So The first runner-up originates from France. Okay, let me just sit back. The exhibition, it's called, her project was Exhibition Ceremony, and then here she is. Oh, I'm sorry. So Imi Nigris. The camera becomes an instrument of awareness, a way to bridge my inner state with the outer world. Her process is rooted in the discipline of the tea ceremony and calligraphy, which she studied in Japan. She rejects the goal-oriented approach to art, for her meaning unfolds through the act of creating itself. She waits for stillness before capturing an image, using the camera to frame the ma, which is the space between, and turning photography into a spiritual discipline of pure attention. She was selected for reminding us that the age of speed and noise, the most visionary act is often stillness. She turns the process itself into the temple, proving that the path is what truly matters. So beautiful application. Congratulations for, I know she's also doing a lot, for the community. So it's a...
Just have to correct you quickly, Alex. It was
Sorry?
Im.
It's
not she. Yeah, so it's
okay. Sorry. Okay, next we have, you already saw it because I did a slide error. Flora E.J., also nicknamed Nicky, with her project Nature Morte of a process of autophagy originating from Buenos Aires, and I think might be working in Ikanoa, that's probably Japan. I explore what remains of a self when its voice is disembodied, and how vocality can become a site of resistance, fiction, and care. So the process is the glitch ritual. Working under the alias Nicky, her project is a fragmented rhizomatic narrative that actively engages with post-human tools. She uses voice cloning, glitch vocalities, and inflatable bodies to construct affective ecosystems. Instead of fearing the artificial, she uses technology as a language for imagining, exploring the vulnerability of the voice when it is detached from the biological body. For us, she represents the Aquarian edge, tech gnosis. She was selected for her radical vulnerability in using AI and synthetic media not to hide, but to explore the fragility of connection and the aesthetics of death in the digital world. So congratulations for your beautiful project and all of your journey. Next, we have a project called I Ate the Apple, but it was not enough, from someone in New Zealand, Charlotte Robertson. I am in service to the divine. It pays me back with incredible blessings, grace, and life force energy. Her process is linked with talismanic composition. As a somatic therapist, she uses the painting process to restore herself after holding space for others' trauma. She works with oil paint on ply and paper, constructing altar-like compositions influenced by personal mythology and the natural world. Her process is a commitment and devotion, a way of embodying spiritual lessons while navigating the mundane tasks of daily life. She was selected for demonstrating the artist as a buffer. She uses her creative practice to metabolize the energy of her therapeutical work, restoring the connection between the human body, the spirit of the land, and the life force energy that sustains us. Next, we have a project called Image Making in the Dark Origin from someone in London, UK, Noel Turner. It is a quiet, stubborn devotion to staying with the trouble and making art that can hold us there. The process is linked with the alchemy of erasure. Turner's process is a cyclical, layered battle between chaos and control. She begins by drenching the canvas and pouring color, soap stain, allowing the fluids to move with their own agency. But then she interrupts the flow, cutting, layering, and deliberately erasing passages with bleach. The work is not just built, it is destroyed and resurrected. She was selected for her fearless use of destruction as a creative force. In this age defined by the collapse of old structures, Turner shows us how to build psychic architecture out of the fragments using erasure not as a mistake, but as a vital part of the design. And the last runner-up, we have a project called Campo del Cielo from a Ukrainian artist living and working, I think, in New York. See Turine. Each mark records a moment of presence, unforced and unrepeated, a purification of perception, a training in awareness, and a dialogue with impermanence. She uses actually like electricity on metal to construct these images. So Turine's process is not about image making, but about energy capture. She treats her studio as an extension of the meditation cushion. Her vertical frequency-like strokes emerge through the smallest, most natural gesture of the hand. Movements that gather resonance over time. She approaches the canvas with the same surrender required in energy work, waiting for the subtle unfolding of energy that reveals itself only through stillness. She was selected for treating the act of painting as biofeedback. She proves that art is a technology we use to purify perception, translating the invisible vibration of the age of energy into visible matter. And now, a moment you've all been waiting for, the final three. So we have the third place winner, who will win 250 Canadian dollars, a 90-minute Astro Tarot session, 1 week residency in Spain, 1 Rose Umbra sweater. The project they applied with is called Solstinescence, and it's someone from Australia, Jason McDonald. Art as a sacred technology. Beyond its aesthetic, art becomes a portal into the greater mystery. The techno-agnostic Jason McDonald represents the Aquarian mind. He bridges the gaps between the mystic's case and the scientist's lab. He doesn't just claim his art is healing. He uses research-grade brainwave state monitoring to prove it. He treats his paintings as intentional fields of frequency designed to drop the viewer through an alpha bridge into more stabilized theta brainwave states. He creates energetic maps that act as software for consciousness. So congratulations, Jason McDonald, your application definitely, all the jury agreed that it was interesting to see this link between science and art. And for me personally, as I was even watching those images on my screen, and this, like, there's always sort of a focus point, like a dot in his images, really helps. Like, I do feel what was described in his text. Like, it's not, and you get why. It's because it's actually proven. So that's very cool. And yeah, art and technology, there's going to be so much more in the future. Like, and I think even science of metaphysics and science of spirit, what we call spirituality, which is just something that science has not yet caught up to. I think artists will start integrating more and more. So that's a good example of someone that's already doing that. So second place, the winner of 750 Canadian dollars, a 90-minute Astro Tarot session plus 2 elementary mastery follow-up sessions, 2-week residency in Spain, a Rose Umbra sweater. So we have Hamza Faye, Project X Pollination, she has roots in Vietnam and I think working in USA. To heal and transform is to reclaim what has been erased, using the body as a broom to sweep colonial vestiges. The ancestral surgeon Hamza Faye represents the return to the body and earth. In the Aquarian age, if the Aquarian age risks being too mental, Hamza pulls us back into the biological technology of the flesh. They explicitly work to heal the generational trauma of the last 2,000 years of colonial and ideological war. They use the third gender body as a site for ancestral technologies, performing rematriation rituals that connect human identity back to the land. Their work remits the purpose of sexual energy, moving it away from production and back to vitality. They are the buffer. They are doing the heavy lifting of clearing the trauma from the timeline so that we can inhabit our bodies safely again. They work in towards restoring the connection to the feminine and the earth. And yeah, another application that stood out for, actually, they were one of the first to apply, which was kind of interesting, like the first few days after the launch. And instantly it was the quality and the depth and the also width of their work was very impressive. So all of the jury agreed that this was a very strong application. So congratulations, AMSA. And now the first place, the winner of 2,000 Canadian dollars, 90-minute Astro Tarot and 4 elemental mastery follow-up sessions, 1 month residency in Spain, 1 Rose Umbra sweater, and an invitation to be on the podcast. We have Stephanie Gonzalez, her project Luz en la Sombra. So my voice focuses on the spaces where spirit, memory, and matter meet, things we cannot always see but can feel. The quantum alchemist Stephanie Gonzalez represents the hidden light. In the age of Aquarius, we are learning that the observer creates the reality. Stephanie's work physically demonstrates this law. She paints the unseen layers of consciousness using light itself as a medium. She uses interference pigments and iridescent paints that shift and change depending on the viewer's angles and the lighting. The painting is never static, it is fluid, just like consciousness. She channels invisible currents to create a visual language for the unseen. She paints the mechanisms of this transition. Her work proves that light and shadow are not opposites, but dancing partners, and reminds us that in this new age, the picture is not fixed. It depends entirely on where you stand. She is ultimately a visionary mirror. So congratulations to all of you guys, even those that did not, win any concrete prizes. Yeah, this was a very beautiful moment for us to review all those applications and see like all of the things that are getting channeled. So I will be contacting the winners in the next few days to settle all the prizes and to book all the things in. Before we close this session, I wanted to just mention I have reference books that I want to share with you guys. I'll actually share them in the chat as well. It's I'm going to be starting in February or end of January a mystical book club so that we can all meet, either bi-monthly or weekly to discuss, a topic, a book that is very rich in information that can help us grow individually, an occult book. So going with that, I thought I would share my top. Let me just. I think I have it here. Yeah, my top books that have been so useful in my own journey. I will share them. Oops. In the chat, so you can also copy paste that if you want to have them all there. So the first one I wanted to share is the most valuable. It's one I've encountered a year ago. It's called The Woman Encyclopedia of Myth and Secret by Barbara G. Walker. So this is a Bible. Like if you wanna, because a lot of the history has been, masculinized and it's hard to find good references. That's her life's work. She spent all her life creating a Bible, researching all of those old mysteries, those old myths, and using a more authentic lens to give both perspective of the masculine and the feminine. So you have like, let me just take one, for example, the devil. So like the word devil and divinity grew from the same root, Indo-European devi or diva, which became devil in Persian. Old English devil can be traced to the Roman derivative gods. Thus, it seems that from the beginning, gods and devils were often confused with one another. So it gives like a lot of nuance to understanding history, but also in your own research for your art projects, can give you a lot of clues to where to continue your research. So I've been using this a lot in my own personal work, and I recommend this very strongly as the first one. The second one I mentioned a little bit earlier. It's called Prana and Pranayama from Swami Niranjananda Saraswati. So it's this book. And this one, if you want to understand the power of breath work, but also how to connect to that creative force directly, because often we connect with it by creating art, but how can you connect with it directly so that you can open a dialogue with your unconscious mind, your kundalini? Well, this book blends science and practical asanas and tools so that you can do that. It's very well written and very understandable, like very easy to understand. So for me, this was a very, very big tool for my own journey. Next, I put a treatise on white magic. I actually read this one online. I have another one from Alice Bailey, Esoteric Psychology, but I recommend a treatise on white magic first because her work is very, very dense. Like that's a big criticism of her. These are all channeled books, so they are like, for me, like I read it one chapter, or not even like one paragraph, and I have to like stop and like digest it. It's very dense and so rich in all, like when one paragraph, you can make all these kind of associations in your mind of all the things it represents. And so it's very rich. And she basically, this is a very Aquarian mind that created this. So all of her teachings are to help humanity in this transition, in this new world that's opening up to us in this age of Aquarius. And it's training to become a good disciple, how to be of service, how to be better of service. It's also the only teachings that the United Nations, like, how can I say? Like, it's on their website, basically. Like, they respect it enough to label it as the only religion accepted by, it's Alice Bailey's teaching. So it's very futurist, it's very linked with the visionary states. So I recommend the book I put on the chat first, because they get very dense and very sometimes hard to understand. So these are actually good books for like mystical book club, so we can digest it together. The next one is the Spoken Kabbalah for anyone that's into tarot, and you want to understand more the esoteric side of the tarot. This is actually based off oral tradition. So this guy, Jason C. Lutterham, was a student of, what's his name? Paul Casey. And so this was all like recorded, live transmissions, and he created this book off all of his teachings that were live. So it's kind of like a question answer type, like he would give weekly sessions to groups, and he has so much wisdom, and it's so easy to digest because it's like he's answering a student that's in front of him in the book, and the questions are very authentic because they come from someone that's genuinely interested and a bit kind of doesn't know the answer. So he goes through all the major arcana cards, but also corresponds it to like the Kabbalah, the Hebrew letters, but in a way that's digestible, that you can actually understand and grow from each chapter of this book. Recommend it a lot. The before last one is the one that actually I read my first occult book, which is not really a book, it's an encyclopedia. The cover is missing because I've transported this book a lot. Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. So this guy, this is his Bible. He spent his life making it. It's basically, he's responsible for translating so many occult books into English, and he has his library that's still there. He's now deceased, but the Philosophical Research Society in Los Angeles, he's the one who founded it. And this one, you get like, the Holy Grail. What is it about? What are all the texts in history that talk about it? The Kabbalistic key to the creation of man. What does it mean? Where does it come from? All the facts, it's so complex that you can get so much information on all the subjects that will come in your awareness as you're doing this visionary work. So very important work. And for those who want to understand more about the stars and astrology, The Light of Egypt by Thomas H. Burgoyne, The Science of the Soul and the Stars. If you want to understand how the soul is linked with the stars and how this impacts you on a more kind of almost scientific level,
this is a masterpiece. I really enjoyed it. So this I recommend a lot as well. So you get like many tools. That's why I'm giving them specifically, like the tarot, buy a tarot deck, read this book, start understanding how you can use this as daily divination and how this can impact your understanding of life, of reality, of consciousness. The other encyclopedias like Manly P. Hall's is more for your research, very, very useful to have in your library when the questions arise. Also, I mentioned the Philosophical Research Society in Los Angeles. On the YouTube channel, I have 2 guests that are coming in January that teach there. One of them is a visionary artist. She's like 70 years old, more or less. She's been channeling in silence for most of her life, and only now she's coming to the public with her works, her channeled works. And she had a presentation at the Philosophical Research Society when I was there. So I had her on my podcast. Very, very fascinating woman. So she's going to be on the podcast. And I have, if you know David Altmedge, we talked about one of the category, the dark feminine. I had him on my podcast a few weeks ago, but the episode is going to launch in January. It's wild. Like this guy is channeling the dark feminine. He's been doing it for a while now, but his new works, he was telling me that like he's had like witches come in to his awareness, and basically he has this inner voice that forces him to surrender to them, which is kind of wild. And then he channels his personality changes for a while, and he channels this into his work. So all of his sculptures come from some other kind of archetypes that are channeled through him, and using his hands to create these works. And he says if he doesn't listen, he sometimes gets hurt, or like bad stuff happens to him. Of course, he has the free will to like cut the access, but most of the time he just lets them channel through. So we had a very deep conversation, and this is a very successful international artist, and he's going to be on the podcast in January. So if you're not subscribed, I would just recommend, if you want to also see this, the numerological parts that I did in the beginning. If it was a bit too quick, like through the parts, you can review. I'll probably be posting it by Friday this week, maybe even quicker. Depends on how much time I have. But yeah, I want to just end by opening up anyone that wants to ask questions, have comments. Nica, if you're still there, you can still answer. But if you have some for me or for Nica specifically, you can now unmute yourself and just ask him. I'm there for that. So anyone. You can also write in the chat if you're shy and if you don't want to speak out loud.
Thank you for this great forum. Good work.
Thank you so much. Oh, Jason's there. Congrats, Jason.
Thank you, everybody. And you mentioned heart before, but heart is also hearth. And one of the things you're doing here is, you're developing the hearth for us all to oscillate around and allow our unique inspirations, individualities, and kind of context of spirit to move through. So this is only the beginning for your movement and our movement. And thank you for including me in that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Your work is very incredible. So looking forward to meeting you, also looking at your chart and seeing how I can be of service to the work that wants to come through. So
thank you. Yeah, looking forward to meeting.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, thank you, Dinara.
I just want to see you as well.
Oh, Stephanie. Oh, hi.
I can't believe it. Everybody's work is so amazing, and I'm so glad to be here. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else today. So
yeah, congratulations. The work is amazing. I'm looking forward also to, going more in depth into your mind and your world, and we'll have the chance eventually to meet for the podcast too. That's going to be great. So congratulations.
I wanted to thank you so much, both of you, Alex and Nica, for this evening and this whole project. It's been super, super inspiring. And I want to say even applying for it, for me, was a big push because I've been feeling very alone in this visionary journey. And I'm still kind of integrating my own personal experience. And so just creating the application was already an incredible boost. So I wanted to thank you and to give you that feedback that even just that has already been a big change in the direction I was following and in the awareness of where we are at. And now today, seeing this huge group and the incredible inspiring work that everyone is doing around the world, I'm super touched, like vibrating the whole. So thank you so much, and thanks to everybody who's also putting their energy into this, because it's so beautiful and I think so necessary. So thank you.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And yeah, like when I had this first dream about doing this grant, you know, I've become used to it. Like when the soul talks to me, to just like do it and not think it. But when I do, you know, put it in practice, then I get why. Like the why comes after. And part of the why, like what you just told me about the act of actually writing about a project in this way, uniting the inner and the outer world, just the act of thinking about it, the spirit was telling me that was also, like, even if you don't win, that was a key for like what I can offer the world, is to start thinking about their work in this way, forcing people to do. Of course, there's a desire, there's an incentive, the mentorship, the money, but and in any regards, that's just how life works. You have a desire and you go through it, and that desire now translates into something positive. That's what it was kind of revealed to me. So I'm glad that this actually translated to your experience. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
I see we have Martin with us. Oh, sorry. Please.
Sorry.
No,
I
go
was
ahead.
saying, yeah, I also really experienced what you just described, and thank you so much for putting all this work in. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. For me, like, it's a lot of work, but it's also so rewarding. Like, I think there's nothing more rewarding than purpose and acting on your purpose. So
yeah,
like the rewards is just like seeing the spirit unfold in, you know, all the ways. So it's a real pleasure to be putting this forward.
Yeah. Great. It's already very, very late where I am. I'm so tired.
Nighttime. Yeah, here we're just crossing in. Does anyone else have something to say? You were saying, Nica, that Martin is also on the chat. If you want to come, Martin, if you want to say something. Martin was also one of the juries, so he has a podcast as well. You should go follow his podcast on Visionary Art.
Yo, what's up, y'all? I mean, first off, that was an amazing presentation. I just love being a participant, watching and listening to everything you shared, Alex and Nica. Just the way that you presented was just so beautiful, and just really kind of encapsulates the kind of energy that I know you two have, and the deep, authentic intention you have behind all the work that you do. So just, you know, congrats and kudos to y'all for just like being such a shining example of like how to approach some things that can be really delicate, like talking about people's creativity and their vision and trying to judge it, like, you know, and organize it, and share it the way you have. That was just really, really, really unique and super cool. The process was really hard as a juror. There's just so much amazing talent, so many amazing people doing just such incredible work that it just makes you really do feel the energy of a global movement, of just like awakening consciousness, uniting for higher visions for what we can manifest together, both individually and collectively. It's just hearing all the things people had to say about their work, learning about their stories, it was just incredibly hard and challenging. But I think, Alex, the way you organized that process made it as easy as it could be to like kind of start to at least build a conversation with all the jurors around how we are going to award recognition or prizes for just the plethora of just incredible applications. It was a lot of work. I can't imagine how much work went into behind the scenes of just organizing to make this happen. So I just think it's what a beautiful first kind of edition of this prize, of the Visionary Roze prize. And I'm just excited to witness the birth of something really amazing and see it continue to evolve. So just big shout out, big thank you to you, Alex, and then Nica, of course, with Origin Center. Like having that being a part of it just makes so much sense to give people a space where they can really dive deep into the work and have the kind of supportive environment, and this container that you're building out there is so special. I can't wait for the day that I get to just go out there myself and be able to dive deep and help myself evolve in my own practice and my own work. So just incredibly grateful to be connected to you all and to this group of people. It's wow, what a beautiful thing. So
yeah, thanks, Martin. Yeah, and we've been discussing with Nica too, like if there's so much we want to do, like the sanctuary and gardens, like this kind of place, you know, takes a lot of money and a lot of investment, but I want to get there one day to be able to do that. And in the meantime, like there's also the residency. Like we're thinking, you know, having a place where we can also be there, I can be there, and we can have this kind of live place to create and to enhance the connection to spirit as we're channeling these works. That's a dream, and I think it's, you know, from if I look back at my own life, everything I've wanted just comes as I progress to it. So this will
One thing as well that we came up while we had the jury debate, because the jury was exceptional, everybody in the team, and but we also live in different cities, different continent, and we were discussing how wonderful would it be to meet and to create something together, which is Origin Center is really at the beginning. Like it's this year, I started my first retreat in June this year, giving private creative retreat where I do shadow work in combination with art and nature to individuals. And the studio space is still in construction, although there's really not much left. So within a month, it's going to be ready. Once the container is ready, I'm going to start filling it with ideas and projects. So stay tuned to that. One of the projects that came up in our discussion was to make something akin to design sprints from the startup world, where people gather for a certain amount of time, and then we throw ideas on the wall and see what sticks. And then we add together with our energy, we try to build it up. And ideas that would be oriented like the Art Prize and like Origin Center and like the podcast of Martin and Alex's and many of your projects as well that you described in your application. How can we move that global movement forward together as a force, and or even create replicable projects that many people can replicate within their own communities. So these are some upcoming projects that will be emerging in the coming months, years. So it's really just the beginning, and I think this movement, this community will just grow stronger and more vital. And there's another project as well in the pipeline, including Alex and Martin, that is going to be most likely of interest to all of you. So there's plenty upcoming.
Yeah. Things are moving, and this is the year of the sun, so it's going to be a year where it's going to come out and it's going to be seen. So anyone else wanted to share something before we end the session?
I just wanted to say thank you, Alex, for starting this community. Like that was something I think that was needed. So I personally really wanted to thank you for that. Like to create a community around like spiritual art and visionary art was definitely something that was needed. So I really want to thank you and thank you, Nica, also for starting the Origin Center. So yeah, so that's
Thanks, Yannick.
yeah. By the way, I'm Imi Nigris. That's like just
Okay.
I can't change my name. So
Okay, nice to meet you.
and thanks also for showing my work. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, beautiful work.
May I point out something that was not mentioned regarding Imi, because I know Imi personally and since a long time. And Imi has been also developing a project in Bretagne where a space that is eventually going to become a place where tea and art is going to meet, and calligraphy and all the techniques that Imi has been studying in a traditional way in Japan with masters and but with the contemporary lens as well, but also the contact with nature and contemplation. Since I know Imi since many years, he's been very surprising, and not surprising, but very inspiring, where he would just go with a backpack, his camera, and a bag of lentils, go walk in the woods and take photos for weeks and just stare at the same landscape and see the landscape change. And then afterward in the printing process, also making either its own paper or choosing the support on which the photos were printed on in such a delicate way. I cannot speak in such depth to every one of you because I don't know all of you personally yet, but I can really definitely make a shout out to Imi, because not only is he my friend, I think what I was mentioning before, the dedication as well from the personal practice in being of service is definitely embodied in Imi's work, and I encourage you all to have a look.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Nica. That. So, anyone else, and then we'll just close this year's edition, and looking forward to doing this again next year with more context, more refining everything. Does anyone have a last thing? And I'm just gonna wrap up. Give everyone. There's a few people that are camera off. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining till the end as well. Like, we're just a few left, but for those who did win, I'm gonna reach out to you this week or beginning of next week. Yeah, I have a lot of things going on for me to have an art show that I'm finishing up, and they're giving me, like, they're pushing for deadlines on that. So yeah, but I will be reaching out very soon to organize all the rest, so we can book the retreat with Nica as well, and the sessions together. And for all of you guys, thank you for joining, for being a part of this, and for even being here today. It really means a lot to me, as you saw from that emotional moment that just was like taking over my body. Like, I feel like this was like, when the mind, body, spirits come into full alignment for a moment, and then I feel like the emotion is just the shivering of the inner space rippling out. Well, that's what happened. So that's all because of you guys, and this it happened to me once before, and it was in this communal setting that I was leading, and when spirit was kind of forcing its way through all of the space. It was a bit overwhelming, but it just means that, I just feel like there's something happening. So thank you guys for being here, and for all your vulnerability and your art and your work. And looking forward to seeing more of you guys' work on the social media, like shouting some of you guys out on my social media. And yeah, thank you so much for being here and being part of this.